Hi, I'm Darren Llewellyn. Let's talk about some electrical safety. What I want to talk about today are OSHA citations and how you can use OSHA citations no matter where you live in the world as an educational tool. Now, the citations are given out generally when someone is hurt. In this case, the one I have here to talk about was unfortunately a fatality. And I hate that, especially when we go into it, we'll see. But what I want you to get from this video is how you can use citations to train the employees and also, probably more importantly, management at the company where you work at your facilities, how you can train them not just how to avoid an OSHA citation, because please don't ever do this stuff for that reason. That's never a good reason, avoidance of a citation. They're not that much, you know, big Fortune 500 company, these dollar figures are tiny. The important thing is, from the OSHA citations, you can learn what these companies should have done in the first place to avoid the fatality, not the citation. Also, as I go through this citation, I've printed off OSHA.gov, their website. As I go through this citation, I want you to look at it and ask yourself a question. Could that happen to us? Have I done all I should have done as a safety person to avoid this at our place? How are we doing compared to the company in the citation? Now, I'm old, so I have to put on some glasses to read this thing or anything anymore. When you receive a large OSHA citation, one of the first things you get is your name and a press release put out over OSHA.gov. Now, the press release, CEOs and company boards of directors should pay attention to this. I've highlighted some of the more important parts. I'm not going to go into where this fatality occurred or what the company was. That's not important. I want you to use this unfortunate event to possibly help you and help your facility. And this was a current one. This just happened in the last little bit here. So the facility, this is part of the press release, the facility required employees to change ballasts without the proper lockout, tagout training on practices and procedures. A ballast is a fluorescent light transformer. It's in all the fluorescent lights. There's a ballast. It's the thing that sometimes makes the funny noise. It's a very common thing, way too common, for people to change the ballast inside these fluorescent fixtures and do it live. They think they need to do it live, and this was a hospital environment. They think they have to do it live because they can't ever, for any reason, turn off any lights and do this de-energized. I even heard some maintenance folks at the university talking one time that said, oh, if a professor's got a flashing light, fluorescent light fixture in his room, he'll just start yelling, and we have to change it live because they will not allow that to be turned off. Well, this is where safety management and best practices have to come in line and stop that kind of behavior, stop that procedure from happening. We can't change ballasts and fluorescent lights live. It's a common thing. I've done it when I was a maintenance person in factories years ago. I've done it. It's stupid. Don't do it. There's fatalities, and they happen all the time for these sorts of things. So the press release tells them that the facility required employees to do this without proper lockout, tagout training. So requiring somebody, serious violations, failure to ensure de-energized circuits were locked out, failure to ensure that only qualified people worked on these live circuits, failure to provide personal protective equipment and provide training. This is the most damning comment in the whole press release. The worker's tragic death was preventable, and it was. It was preventable. You know, I always ask myself, if a Workers' death is preventable. Why wasn't it prevented? Why wasn't it prevented? Why did we not do what we should have done to prevent this fatality? Now here is the citation, 13 pages long, and I'll read some of the parts I've got highlighted. And you can find this on OSHA.gov. This is not top secret information or anything. They're all on there. What I do sometimes is go look at the press releases first, because OSHA has press releases saying when they've given someone a citation, a big one, and especially if there's a fatality. And then it will show you the citation number, and you can go look that up too and see what are the details. And again, I'm saying all this because you can learn a lot from the OSHA citations. You can, and I'm not just saying to avoid a citation. You want to avoid the fatality. Here's a serious violation: live parts not de-energized. It was common practice for general maintenance mechanics to work on live 277 volt AC while changing ballasts. That was a serious violation. Here's another one. While employee was exposed to contact with live parts, fixed electrical equipment, or circuits which were de-energized, the circuit energized were not locked out. So no lockout, tag out. Here's a serious violation. Did not maintain a written copy of the lockout, tag out policy. There's a question for you. Does your facility have a written copy of the lockout, tag out procedure that you're supposed to use at your facility? Do all of your maintenance people and electricians and whoever's going to be doing this kind of work, do they have access to it? Do they know where it is? There should be easy access to it, and you should be able to present that to OSHA if they showed up and asked for it. What else happened? Worker not qualified to work on electrical parts that were not de-energized. This person they're claiming was not trained by the employer. Here's a willful violation. Employee not trained and familiar with safety-related work practices. Look this up, 1910, 331 through 335. Very important. This is the OSHA part for electrical safety. They weren't trained on. Employee did not ensure that general maintenance mechanics were trained in safety-related work practices. Now this citation is 6 figures. Sounds big to me as a working stiff, but you know, to a large company, I'm not sure that this is a lot of money. The important thing also to remember is this company's this is not done yet. The company will have a chance to give its side of the story. They will negotiate probably the cost of the citation. The company will make abatements. Maybe they've already made abatements. It's kind of like the show Cops. I watch Cops all the time, and they always at the front of it. People on this show have not been convicted of any crime or something like that. And the same thing goes with this. They've not been, you know, it's not over. It's not done yet. We've not heard from the company. We've not heard from the organization. But the most important thing I want you to take from this is how can you use OSHA citations to help train yourself, your employees, and the management at the facility. So learn from other people's mistakes, and don't worry about avoiding the citation. It's not that big of a deal. Worry about avoiding the fatality and avoiding the injury. So OSHA citations are great training tools, and everybody should use them. I always have, and I learn something all the time from them. I'm like, oh yeah, we need to look at that too. So use OSHA citations. They're available at OSHA.gov, and they're available to everybody. So start at the press releases, something that boards of directors and CEOs need to think about. Press releases are bad for your company if someone's, this has happened. So use OSHA citations to train employees, management on how to avoid these things from happening. Again, until next time, thanks for joining me. I'll see you next time.